On today's Rec Room, I'm here at the Southwest Art Center's Performance Theater, where a number of productions take place on this stage behind me. Today, I'm going to talk to the cast and crew of Kenny Leon True Colors Production Company's latest play, Exit Strategy. I'm going to give you a behind-the-scenes look to see all what all goes into a production to make sure audiences get an amazing performance. Stay with us. Welcome to Rec Room. I'm Priscilla Ortega. I'm here at the Southwest Art Center, here to talk about the latest production and give you a behind-the-scenes look at all the productions that go on here at the Southwest Art Center. Joining me now is John Dillon, the director of the latest production, Exit Strategy. So welcome to Rec Room.
Thank you.
So you've been here plenty of times. You've directed a few of the True Colors productions. Talk about that.
I've done Race and American Buffalo, and now I'm here to direct Exit Strategy, a play by a wonderful young Chicago playwright. So it takes place in Chicago at a failing high school and the faculty that's failing with it. And they're all trying to figure out what to do, how to cope with this announcement from the school district that the school is going to be closed down. So they're all trying to find their exit strategy out of this situation.
So this is a plot that obviously the Atlanta area can relate to.
Yes.
And you kind of wanted to experience that a little bit. So you had a community conversation with the APS Superintendent Maria Castarfa, and talk about that.
Well, she's an amazingly dynamic and passionate person. She actually gave out her cell phone number at the meeting to these hundreds of people in case they ever had a problem. They should call her. I can't imagine what her life is like. So that was a really interesting way to hear the story from one side. And then we had a wonderful time at Mays High School, which is just down the road from the Art Center here. And we met with faculty, with students, with administrators. And the faculty talked about all the issues they have, all the barriers they face to their desire and their passion for teaching kids, and all the regulations and tests and things that they feel impede their work. So you really heard it both from the administration in the form of the superintendent and from the teachers, and the difficulties, the complexities that face modern education in America. It was really, really enlightening. And then to come back and work on this play, which takes these issues and makes them so human with the lives of these faculty members, the administrator, and the student that are featured in the play. It was very exciting.
Why is it important for the director and cast and crew to experience, and be able to relate?
Theater's make-believe. Theater is pretending. So the hardest part about theater is making it real for yourself so that you can pretend. You can pretend from a place of authenticity. So having the experience of actually sitting down with teachers, sitting down with students, going to a school, hearing the superintendent of the entire system talk about the challenges she faces in the schools she's closing, just like they closed schools in Chicago, was very, very helpful. This play was generated for I. Coulter, the playwright, because he had been doing teaching in high schools in Chicago, and the Chicago School District in 2013 announced they were closing 50 schools, 50 schools, which meant that students were going to be uprooted and moved to other areas. And the faculty at Mays talked eloquently about how transient students who don't view the school as their neighborhood school, how much harder it is for them to feel ownership in that school. So that's one of the issues that's both here in Atlanta as well as in Chicago.
So let's switch gears a little bit and talk about what your role is as a director for someone who comes to play. They're like, I want to be involved in that, and maybe they want to direct. what sort of advice do you have for them?
Well, what does a director do? I'm the person who guides the decisions of all the designers in what the set will look like, what the lights will sound like, what the costumes will look like, what the sound cues will sound like, and guiding the actors into telling the story of the play. Now, if you're a really lucky director, everybody knows their job better than you do. That is, the designers know more about design, the actors know more about acting. So what you're there to do is to ask really provocative questions that get them to move beyond where they are from that first day of rehearsal. So I see my role as one of questioning, well, if you feel this, then why aren't you doing that? If you think the set looks like this, then shouldn't we also have that? Those kinds of questions to kind of move the whole thing forward. It's a collaborative art form. I'm not somebody sitting on a throne pointing imperiously and saying, go over there, do that this way. And to me, if a show ends up exactly like I had envisioned it on the first day of rehearsal, I'm disappointed. I wanted things to because I have all these wonderful and creative collaborators who are moving me to a new place, even as I try to move them to consider things they hadn't considered. And that's one of the reasons I enjoy True Colors so much, because the people I've been given to work with are great, the support I receive from the theater is great, and the designers that they give me have been great as well. So it's been a really joyous experience, and I hope some of that joy comes across on the stage, because as serious as this play's theme is, it's awfully funny. Ike is a wonderfully comic writer, and the dialogue just bristles with humor.
And he's also a very young writer, too.
He's just a little bit over 30, yes.
Talk about the timeline you have as a director. Like, when do you first know that you're going to have to direct something?
I knew a year ago I was going to direct this play. I had read it and said, yes, absolutely, sign me up. This is very exciting. And then in the summer, in June, I came out and auditioned the Atlanta actors and met with my design team, and we had conferences about how we wanted to have the set look. It has multiple settings, so how are we going to make each of those settings unique, and how are we going to move easily between them. Then the design work continued from then on through December, where they would send me sketches of the costumes or the sets, and we would go back and forth about, I think this is a problem, the door would work better for over here for the flow of traffic and so on. So it takes a long time.
It takes a year.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for all your work you've done here at the Southwest Art Center. I appreciate it.
Great. Hope you enjoy the show.
We're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'm going to talk to a couple of the actors from this latest play. Stay with us. Welcome back to Rec Room. I'm Priscilla Ortega. I'm here at the Southwest Art Center, where a number of productions take place, and the latest one is Exit Strategy. Joining me now is Rian Ralph from the latest play, Exit Strategy. So welcome to Rec Room.
Hi, what's going on, Priscilla?
So we are here at the Southwest Art Center. Have you guys been here, performed here before?
Yes, I've been here before. In high school, I've done their August Wilson monologue competition for 3 years. And I saw an August Wilson show here. I believe it was I think it was 2 trains running. So I've seen quite a few productions.
How did you do on the monologue competition?
I did you?
Wait, how old were you?
I was, golly, I was, the last monologue competition, I was a senior. But I started when I was a sophomore. And I made it to the finals my senior year. And I messed up my monologue. And I was like, you know what? Let me just take a break from acting. And then I got into it.
But
again.
yeah, it just goes to show you fall off the horse, you get back
Get
on.
back up and just prepare, yeah.
Okay, and what about you? Have you been here?
Actually, yeah, this is, I have the honor of performing here for the first time. I have been here before. I watched a couple of plays, well, one play, when I was still learning my craft at school, and I was greatly impressed by it, because the Southwest Arts Center is kind of it's a little a ways away from the main Atlanta center, but the drive may be a bit long, but it was so worth it, because the show blew my mind. I had no clue such a great facility was so far away from the Atlanta Center, so it kind of really serves the Southwest Center of,
Right.
of this like region. So I was really happy to see a show there, and I'm even more happy to be working here as an actor.
Great, so talk about how you guys started in acting. You obviously were in high school.
Yes. I officially kind of got started when I was in middle school, but at the time I was sick and I was in the hospital and I was kind of depressed. I didn't know what to do when I grew up. And everyone was asking me and I really didn't know. I wanted to be a whole bunch of things, but I wasn't good in certain areas. And I was just sitting there and I looked to the hospital TV and Denzel was in one of his films, and I was like, you know what? I think I can do that. And
Denzel.
Of all
He's a
people,
good role model.
I was like, you know what? But yeah, I saw him and I was like, okay, I think I can do what Denzel does. And my church had a drama ministry, so I went into their drama ministry and I performed for the first time in Marietta Square during Juneteenth, and that was it's a huge festival in Marietta, and I was very, very scared. And that's when I got the little acting bug, and I was like, okay, I think I can do this. Went into high school. I didn't know drama and acting were the same thing. I thought drama was like the debate team because you're yelling back and forth at each other, and I was like, you know, I don't want to do that. I want to act. So my family, they were like, just try it, Reed. If you don't like it, we'll find something else, but just try it. And I fell in love ever since then, my freshman year in high school. And I went to Young Voices United in Marietta, a private performing arts school, and they took me under their wing, got me involved with the August Wilson Monologue Competition, and we've been going downtown and traveling and performing and doing monologues all over Atlanta.
So it started with Denzel, but you definitely worked along the way. So, you know, what advice do you have for someone that's like, I want to be on TV, but I mean, there's a lot of work that goes into
Yes,
it.
there is. There is so much work, and you have to stay hungry, and you always need to constantly learn. You don't want to say, oh, I think I've mastered this, and that is not the case.
Because it's art, you can never fully master it, I assume.
I think I've met, no.
Not really, like, you can think that, but I guess
Maybe Denzel's mastered it.
I think maybe, or he probably said in an interview he still is learning, which I don't know how
course,
you can
of course.
still learn with
Well, in this
Denzel and
industry,
Felicia
you
Rashad.
have a bunch of different roles and characters you can
Yeah.
play, and in this latest role, it's about a school and, you know, students and stuff. So talk to me about how you prepared for this role.
Well,
Ralph, you could talk too.
Oh, okay.
go ahead.
Well, in our rehearsal, obviously, we have to study lines and rehearse. But what was one of the coolest things we did is, since it's based in Chicago, the storyline, but we're obviously not in Chicago, so we went into an Atlanta public school as a cast and some of the crew to kind of get into the nitty-gritty of a public school that is at its last strands, I guess you could say, and kind of study what the teachers had to say about being in the arts, being in the education, how difficult it is to teach children, to teach the future, the upbringing of it, and all the stresses that kind of go with that. And it was enlightening, I guess you could say, what we learned and felt, and just breathing the same air as all these students are in that kind of environment.
So that's important, like actually being in the same environment that helps you with your craft?
That helped me. Well, since I graduated last October, so it was 2 years ago since I was in high school. It brought me back, and it opened my eyes to see the teacher side.
Right.
When we heard the teachers explain their side of the story, and it opened my eyes. It's very sad now.
Right. Like as a job of an actor, your job is to imagine, obviously, and kind of understand the script that you're coming at it. But there's something enlightening about going into the place you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be a part of, because things will hit you in the face. And you're like, oh my God, I didn't even imagine that teachers really are that pent up, because you can read about it and kind of imagine they're pent up, but seeing it in front of you and feeling how they describe their own feelings, really, it's like a delicious meal that you just want to eat up and kind of hopefully absorb as you continue your craft.
So do you feel like going in those environments like that changes you, maybe mentally, physically?
Oh yes, even
after
this play is over, I'm still interested in learning how we can improve the school system. I know Donnie, my character, he doesn't, I want to say, he doesn't know what's the word? He's not good with consequences. He goes, he says whatever he wants, and he doesn't realize that
it has an effect.
It has an impact. So now, going and thinking back of all the teachers I yelled at, I was like, maybe I should just take my time and understand both sides of the story instead of always going head first. My story is correct. My side is always right.
Definitely sounds like you're passionate about this play and now passionate about education system. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you, Priscilla.
We're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, we're going to talk to a couple of more actors from the latest play, Exit Strategy. Stay with us. Welcome back to Rec Room. I'm Priscilla Ortega. I'm here at the Southwest Arts Center for the latest production, Exit Strategy. And joining me now are two characters from the play, Bill Murphy and Matthew Bush. So welcome to Rec Room.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So we're at the Southwest Arts Center. Have you guys performed here before?
I have. I did Our Town here with True Colors several years back and have been to many performances here, but I have only actually worked here once.
So you've been here before, you've been to a few performances here. How do you feel about the venue as opposed to working at another theater?
I think it's a beautiful venue. It's surprising to see a venue so nice this far out from town. Everything you'd want is here. So, and the people are nice. The facility is nice. It's a nice drive here. It's not too far.
Right. It's a little bit more trees and stuff to look around here.
I have not personally performed or been here, so this is my first time, and I'm thrilled to be here. It's a beautiful house, like you said. The people are great, so I'm hoping to come back again soon.
All right, so let's talk a little bit about your characters. Talk about your character, and if you have any similarities with your character, how you are developing that character.
Ricky is the fast-talking administrator, as Ike Holter likes to call him. He is kind of stuck in a position of not knowing what to do. He's presented with a bunch of different options. You know, with the school threatening to be closed down, so he tries to come up with his own little way to save it. I do find similarities with Ricky. I'm a northerner at heart, so I'm a fast talker as well. But I really connect with his sense of helplessness, especially in our current political climate. It's, you know, one person, what can one person do to make a difference? And I think that really is mirrored with Ricky throughout the play.
I play Arnold. Arnold is a veteran teacher here at this failing school, been here 20 some odd years. And some series of events that happened earlier in the play have really just sort of shut him down, I think. He's the union rep for the school. By the book, he had more adventurous times earlier in his career, but I think he's just sort of been beat down by the system, by events, and is maybe ready to move on. Still very passionate about his teaching and about the students, but sort of a realist too.
So this is a play about a serious topic, a school closing down, and a lot of people in this area can relate to that. Did that impact your performance, or, you know, studying, you know, maybe similarities with, like, you know, what's happening here as opposed to, you know,
well,
Chicago?
We had the good fortune to be able to go to Benjamin Mays High School and visit with some of the teachers there and have them tell us some of their frustrations about, a lot of their frustrations about working within the administration, how it's really doesn't seem any longer to be about teaching. It's more about being ready for tests. They're very regulated into what they can do or what they have to do. But then there's some of them that have been there for 16 or 17 years and still manage to come every day and do what they want to do. Others, you get the idea that they're going to be burned out in a year or two. And I think that's a shame, because anybody who wants to come in and be a teacher and educate young people and make them smarter, if they are beat down by the system, then that's everybody's loss.
Yeah, it was a really eye-opening visit. I mean, as soon as we met these teachers, they just spilled everything. You know, it wasn't like a, you know, we need to kind of get comfortable with you before we tell you. No, we're going to tell you exactly how we feel right now. And a lot of the problems that they brought up are closely mirrored in the show. So I think it's definitely a beneficial show for educators to come see, because I think they'll see a lot of themselves in it for sure.
So arts has a good way of, like, reflecting, like, what's going on and stuff, and this play does as well. But it also mixes in a little bit of comedy. Is that hard to do conflict and comedy as a character?
I think it's harder not to do it, in my opinion. I mean, because there are serious situations in every comedy, and comic elements in, even if it's just the ridiculous, the absurdity of the things, that you can bring those out. And that's the only way to really, and you can't just go into something and be unendingly mortified by things, by just completely sad. There has to be something, there have to be little bright spots throughout.
Yeah, as an actor, you can never really play the comedy. The comedy comes naturally from the seriousness of the situation and people being able to connect with your character, so they can find themselves through, you know, your character. So I don't, like Bill said, I don't think it's difficult to find the comedy. It just kind of comes because of the ridiculousness of the situations that we're presented with.
So imagine that someone, you know, high school, college, comes to this play and they're like, I want to do that when I grow up. What advice do you have for them?
Stay hungry, work hard. I've been doing this since 2nd grade professionally. I was lucky enough to know what I wanted to do. It's just getting out there, staying involved, volunteer at a theater, read a play, go see a show, surround yourself with artistic people, and things will fall into place.
One of the best young directors in town right now got his start by being an assistant director to the established directors in town, and he just learned it by, you know, working around it, being around it, and learning the tricks. And as an actor, you get a lot of people say, I don't want to be an actor, I want to be a movie star. And that's, you know, that's completely different. If you want to act then you have to study, you have to pay attention, you have to go see things, you have to be around it and immerse yourself in it. And if you want to be a movie star, you just got to be pretty, I think. And lucky.
I'm assuming there's a little bit more to it than that too. What about like in general, like the community in general, why should they participate in the arts?
Because art is essential to the community. When you think back upon the Greek and Roman civilizations, you don't think about their politics, you don't think about the societal stuff, you think about the art, and that's what's lasted. The Greek dramas, the Greek comedies, the architecture, the beautiful statues, that's what lasts in a society, and that's what gives a society its soul.
Yeah, I mean, like Bill said, it's almost becomes part of a record in a way of history. Art is something different to everybody. It can be a means of escape. It can, it can open your eyes to new things, new experiences that you've never or will never experience in your life. So I think it's pretty essential for everybody to at least be somewhat involved.
This wall behind us,
Yeah.
if there was no art, it would just be a blank
There you
wall.
go.
And there would be no architecture. This would just be a really dull,
Square box.
a square box. Art is in everything.
Art
You
is
have to
all
explore it.
around us.
Yes.
All right, well, thank you guys so much.
Absolutely, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and when I come back, I'll share my final thoughts. Stay with us. Well, that's all the time we have left for this edition of Rec Room. I would like to thank all of my guests for sharing just a glimpse of what all it takes to put on a production here at the Southwest Art Center Performance Theater. Remember, productions happen year-round, so you can find out when the next one is by going to fultonarts.org. Or if you want to specifically catch a True Colors production, you can also go to truecolorstheater.org. Don't forget, you can watch us anytime on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, or YouTube. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.